Hey everybody, I'm very happy today to have Christy Bachmeyer, a member of the Pittsford Moms in Motion group in upstate New York. Welcome, Christy.
Welcome to myself. Thank you, Bonnie.
You're welcome. So glad to have you here today. So tell us a little bit about yourself and who you live with.
I moved to Rochester about 9 months ago from Atlanta with my husband and my 16-year-old son.
Mm-hmm.
We relocated for my husband's job, and MIMS was one of the first things that I was told about before I even moved. So I instantly hopped on that train and figured out where I needed to go and who I needed to see. And it was great for my husband because he knew I had a place to go because we moved here for his job. And so he was at work all the time, and I had an instant place to go, people to run with, friends. And so it was very nice.
Yeah. So how was that? Our mutual friend, Jeannie Magaro, who some of our podcast listeners will remember. She was the first interview that I did. So I know your husbands work together. And so Jeannie reached out to you as you were getting ready to come to Rochester. Do you remember anything that she said about the group at the time?
She just sent me we never met. She sent me a note on Facebook and told me about the group. And she said, I'm looking at your Facebook page. It sees that you do this, this, and this. And I was like, yeah. And she said, you need to join this group. It's a really bunch of nice ladies. There's no judging. There's no pressure. Some people are at a different level of athleticism than others, but there's always somebody at your level, and there's always somebody to be with. And so I never heard of Moms in Motion. And in Atlanta, they don't have that, which, it's a big city. You would think. I've told some of my friends there about it, and they've looked it up. There's no Moms in Motion here because I talk so highly of it. And I told Jeannie I'm in. And then when I moved, Jeannie was actually out of town. So when the first practice happened that I came to, she had sent me a text and she said, there'll be a couple ladies there that will help you. And it was Susan Trumbull and Morrow, I think that she had said. But I was there before them. And so I just parked in the parking lot, got out of the car, and there was a bunch of ladies. And I said, I'm new. And then everyone just started talking, and Sue and me later, and it was great. So I wouldn't change a thing about it. It has helped me a lot.
That's great. Yeah. And you've relocated. So you came to Rochester. You started out you grew up in Oregon, right?
Yes.
And then lived in Texas, and then lived in Atlanta, and now in Rochester. So that's a lot of moving. And so how did it help you to connect with besides the fitness part of it, which is huge, but did it help you finding other resources around town? Was it helpful beyond the fitness part of it?
Oh, definitely. And, you were a big part of that too, because Jeannie had said, I wasn't a member yet. So Jeannie had said, reach out to Bonnie. She's our leader. She's our fearless leader. And so I instantly responded, hi, Christy, welcome. This is what you need to do to sign up. And then I got on the Facebook page, which is great because everyone does reach out to each other if you need a resource for something. So, I mean, even like finding a doctor locally or finding someone to clean my carpets or just, talk anything. And that's the page to go. And so I love how too, everyone says, oh, I'm doing this today. Who wants to come? There's always somebody. And so I wasn't a big Facebook I've gone through my stages and I'm not a big Facebook poster, but I found that page, if you just put something out and reach out, then surprised at what you get back. I mean, dog sitting, or if some people need, like, I remember when Carrie Green needed someone to come walk her dogs, and she just, oh my gosh, my husband's out of town, I'm working late, is there any way someone can come walk my dog? And I actually was able to do one of the times. And I remember thinking to myself, oh my God, that's so great that she just put that out there. And there was three of us that were able to take the shifts and come walk her dog one day. Yeah. So I had never experienced anything like that. And then also at Christmas time, all the philanthropy that the MIMS do, I think is amazing. And the get-togethers people had, again, it was uncomfortable for me because it's always uncomfortable to walk into a place where you don't know anybody.
Right.
And I didn't even know Jeannie. So really, she was my contact, but I really didn't know her. But then everyone was so welcoming and nice. I just was able to start talking to people. So the book club, I mean, there's so many things that MIMS offer besides, like you said, besides just running and triathlons or biking. But friendships and just helping each other out. That's really what it's about.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So you've been fit for a long time. You've done, I see sometimes on your Facebook page, like when some of your friends, or on your birthday, when people posted pictures about all the fun things that you've done even before you came here. So you've already been fit. I mean, fitness has obviously been very important to you for a long time. So talk about like your civilian life pre-MIM, like what kind of stuff did you do for fitness? Because you did some big stuff, didn't you?
I did. I ran my first marathon when I lived in Dallas, and my first half. And then we were moving to Atlanta, and I was not going to be working. In Dallas, I worked full time. But when we moved to Atlanta, I stopped working. And so I started thinking a triathlon would be fun to do, because I'd done running and I really liked to bike. So I started training for one of those. I did a few in Atlanta, and I met a friend in my neighborhood who also liked them. So we did a lot of those. I did a couple half Ironmans, and then some century rides. And I went out, I took my bike. No, actually I borrowed a bike. I went to Oregon for a century ride and did that by myself. I didn't know anybody else that did it with me, so it was kind of empowering to do something like that. And then I did a few Muddy Buddy runs where you partner up with somebody, and one person bikes and one person runs, and then you switch off at the obstacles, and at the end there's a obstacle that you crawl through. So I do like those adventure type of runs. I haven't done one in Rochester yet, but I want to look up those and get to do that. So then I injured myself, and I hadn't done running even for a while until I got to Rochester. Then I kind of started getting back into that part of it. But I've done Bikram yoga. I mean, it helps me. And plus, when you don't work full time, I mean, you'll have more time to be able to. It takes a lot of time to train, especially triathlons. It's 3 sports of training. But, finding the time to do all that, I mean, I really am amazed by all these ladies that can do that. And my son's a teenager, but the people that have the little kids. That's another thing about MIMS. I think everybody helps each other with the kids aspect. And so I was just thankful that I could continue the fitness part of it with people, because sometimes I was on my own. Yeah. And it's nice to have somebody to do a run with or do a bike with or whatnot. But I love races. I'm a competitive person. So when I don't work, I have to have something to be competitive about. So I'm just competing myself, but you know, riding a little faster or running a little faster. Today I was biking at Keuka, and there was a huge hill that I was just like, where did this come from? I hadn't biked here before, and I almost got off my bike. I'm like, oh my God, no, I got to toughen out. Yeah. So, you know, I'm very thankful that I have an instant community when I moved here, and that didn't happen for me in Atlanta. In Dallas, it did, because I worked and I instantly had a job and friends. Right. In Atlanta, I didn't. And it took me a lot longer to feel comfortable, because I had my neighbors, but that, you know, took a while to evolve. So the MIMS bring a sense of community to me, and I really like that.
Yeah, well, that's great. And you fit right in. I mean, you're one of those people that as soon as you joined, it's like you've been a member forever. You're welcome. It's very true. So pretty soon after you moved here, you did a polar plunge with your realtor, who has become a friend. And then you brought her into the group, Becky, and you corralled some other girls pretty quickly. And it was January, right?
I think it was January at the polar plunge.
Yeah, so you guys did a polar plunge. And so coming from all of the warm places you've lived over the last few years, that had to be quite a shock to the system, right?
Oh, it definitely was. But I enjoyed it because the different climate helped me do more things like snowshoeing. I did a race with Colette, which was pretty tough. I mean, running in snowshoes was not something I was big on. But so I think I wanted to embrace the winter so that I didn't that I didn't miss Atlanta. And so I just put it out again. I put it out on the Facebook page, and some ladies were like, no way am I ever doing that. And then some people were like, I'll totally do that. And you know what? This is where I live now. I might as well do it.
Right.
And it was really fun. I mean, we had a blast. So hopefully, more people will want to do it next year, but pick us up. And it's every time you do one of those with different people, you get a little bit more of a friendship with the people that do it.
Right, right. Yeah, you go through that, that out of the box experience, and it definitely brings
Definitely.
you closer.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and and none of them had done it either,
right,
and they lived in Rochester for a while. So
right.
um, I was glad that I put it out there for, because at first I was like, no one's gonna, and no one knew me that well. I'm like, no one's gonna want to do this with me. And sure enough,
Mm-hmm.
6 or 7 people that embraced it,
Yeah,
and we're like, oh, so it was
yeah,
fun.
yeah, yeah. I think
You're
that's
doing it next year.
what's that?
I think you're doing it next year.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I like triathlons too. And the one thing I love swimming, I love open water swimming. The one thing I don't like is if you do a race and it's like, say, when the water's colder, either in the beginning of the season or the end of the season, my feet would freeze. And so it's so funny when you put it out about the polar plunge. I was like, oh God, I don't want cold feet out of anything. You know what I mean? Like that was the one thing that I was worried about, but I could overcome that for you.
And it was, I mean, they make you wear shoes, which makes sense.
Yeah.
But your feet get stuck, and that ice is so thick. And
Yeah.
they had a tractor out there trying to get the ice off, and it got stuck in there. But I remember trying to pull my foot out, and it was like they have all those firefighters in the water, which I didn't know. I mean, they're all out there pulling you, because when you try to lift your feet, and your feet are cold in seconds. I mean, it took me probably 30 minutes for my feet to thaw out. That was, I will say, that's pretty tough. But you're only in there for, well, you're in there for as long as you want to be in there, but it's not long for most people. And some people wear a wetsuit, but we got lucky that day, because I think it was only like 35 or 40 degrees instead of some years it's been, below zero, they've said. It was not windy that day. So, next year could be a whole different game, but.
Right. And I think there was some Fireball introduced to that polar plunge, wasn't there?
There definitely was a few going on in the van beforehand. A little 80s hip hop music with a little fire.
Yep, and somebody had a leopard bikini and
oh yes, we had a leopard bikini. I had my unicorn suit.
Yeah, that's right.
Beth had her she had a full wetsuit, I think. So but yeah, I mean, everyone just kind of listened to music and got ourselves fired up, pumped up for the polar plunge. And at the beginning, everyone stands in one huge tent, and then when you're done, people just change in the tent, like you kind of protect around each other and change, go. So it was really fun, though. I definitely will do it again.
Yeah, it's definitely a bonding with the universe experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I love what you say about embracing the weather, because when our Moms in Motion group first started, we had sessions. And so it would be like February to May, June to August, and then September through December. So we would go from December through February without having formal practices. And I remember several years ago, we decided that just, in Rochester, that's when you need to exercise the most, when it's cold and you may be a little bit more isolated, less daytime, less daylight hours. So it's probably been 6 or 7 years now that we meet year round. And it was exactly for what you talked about. The reason you talked about is because, as then I was a stay-at-home mom, I needed my female tribe time even more so than during the winter.
Well, and I got there. Well, I got here in October, and there was a couple, I think some Saturdays I couldn't come, and then winter came, and I remember Jeannie saying, "Oh, the Mims are, rain or shine. Doesn't matter the temperature." And I go, "Really?" And then I remember one day, I think it was 25 degrees, and I was wearing some capri running tights.
I remember that.
On the back, and everyone was like, "You're gonna need some new running gear." I'm feeling a little. It didn't hit me until it ended, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, I might be frostbitten."
I remember your ankles were exposed, and it was freezing out. I was like, "Oh dear, you need some taller socks."
I know. I still do not. This winter, I have to get some different gear and some different gloves and different socks. I did buy some of those waterproof socks, but that. Oh, that's the other thing I really like about MIMS is the speakers that we get too, because it's another resource and another person to meet in the community and a place to go. And so I think that's great. But
so for people that are just listening that aren't part of our group, we have not every Saturday, but at least a couple times a month, we have some guest speakers that talk on all manner of health, wellness, anything, could be chiropractic or yoga, stretching. We just had somebody this past weekend with somatics, which I had never heard of, which is sort of a yoga Reiki combo, cool thing. And so, yeah, we have a lot of fun speakers. And again, that is a great way, even if like I've lived here in this area my whole life, even for me, it's a great way to find new people that I wouldn't have been exposed to otherwise. So yeah, that is a fun part.
The garden or the organic foods.
Right. Yeah. I joined her CSA.
Yes. Yeah. That was great. And there's a lot of the organic farming and things like that is new exposure to me too. So I really like to and the skincare lady, the puppies when April came. I mean, there's a lot of things and what's great about it is there's no pressure to do something you don't want to do. If nobody judges you, nobody's looking at you like, oh, you don't want to do this race or you don't want to come to this event. I mean, it is what it is, and there's so many people that it's great. And people live in different areas, so that's fun too, just to get to go. I like to use the practices up that we go to Pittsford sometimes. We're in Fairport, and I like that you guys are going to different people's homes now. I haven't been to that yet, but that's fun. And I want to host a practice too, because I think that'd be great.
Yeah. Absolutely. We like to do field trips, so that's fun.
Yes. I remember Holiday Valley. That was another thing.
Skiing.
I'm not a skier, but again, I thought I can do it. I'm available, so why would I not?
Right.
And I was definitely the worst one there, but it was okay because everyone was me. I fell. I was okay. But, again, something new. I would never be able to go skiing on a Thursday in Atlanta. So
right.
It was great. And so it was just a day trip. I love those. Because you just never know what you're going to do or who can come. And great.
Right. So have you done any, I believe you've done some races since you joined MIMS, right? You did at least, didn't you do a half?
I did Ithaca. And then I did the snowshoe run. That was just a 5K, I believe. And then, I think there's something else I'm missing. 5K? Oh no, I volunteered at that one. That was Robin's daughter.
Right.
And then I feel like there was one more 5K. Oh, I know what I did, the grocery run, but that was what I did that without the MIMS thing because one of my friends in Atlanta knew somebody that was putting that run together. So I just went and did it. And that was that was all through like Park Ave and those blocks down there by the museum. I was like, oh, this is a neat part of Rochester. So that was the first race I did. So I've only done a couple, and then I'm going to do the Cape Cod.
Yeah. That's this fall, right?
Yes, October.
Yeah.
I'm going to do the Rochester half, but I think I'm going to do the Cape Cod.
Yeah. So what was your first, the first destination race that you did, which was about 2 hours away from here, was Ithaca. How was that traveling with the girls? Had you done?
So fun.
Yeah.
It really was fun. And again, some people could only stay one night. And then those of us that stayed extra, I mean, Becky and Keiko and I came back and we stopped at the falls and then we got ice cream at one of the dairies. Keiko's like, to get the ice cream here. That's another fun thing. I don't know where to go.
Right.
And so we stopped and got the ice cream, and it was, because it can be a little bit intimidating when you don't, everyone, but not, super well.
Right.
And so, again, I feel like everybody talked to each other and treated each other the same, like just like everyone had known each other for a long time. We all stayed in that house together.
Yeah.
And MIMS are generous people. I mean, I don't know if that's just part of why you become a MIM, because you've got that trait in you already. But I mean, the helping hand, the no judging, the welcoming in, always have a good time. I mean, so I love destination races anyway, but that with people that I didn't know super well, just make you know them. But you have to be willing to put yourself out there. I'll say that, because you could join a group like MIMS or MIMS, but then if you don't actually expose yourself to some of the things that are available to you, you're not taking advantage of what is there, and it can be challenging to do, but it's well worth it. So I would recommend the destination races to anybody new, for sure.
And you really, I mean, I think that's important too, that the group was welcoming, but you also really put yourself out there, which I think, you can't underestimate how you didn't wait for people to come to you. You put yourself out there, and it was a nice synergy that when you joined, you got involved in things and proposed things like the polar plunge and things like that. It was great. I mean, it's not easy, like you said, that's not easy to do. And I know that sometimes people move to an area and they don't like it because they don't really know how to integrate themselves into the area.
Right.
But you really made a huge effort to do that, which was terrific. So you're doing a big race in the fall. You're doing the Cape Cod Marathon.
Yes.
Correct? Is it half? You're doing the half? Yeah, not just a half, the half. The half. And any other big plans that you intend to take on now that you're established in the group?
I would love to try and get a group together to do one of those relays, those overnight Ragnar races.
Yeah.
I think you guys have done some of that, or some of the men.
Some people have, yeah.
I did the Hood to Coast run, which is in Oregon, and I lived in Atlanta, but I flew out there, and you stay with a van of people, and there's 7 people on your team in the van, and there's 2 vans, and then you have 3 legs of the race, and it goes all night. It started at Mount Hood and ends it at the Oregon coast. Yeah. And there's a huge celebration, and I know they have a lot of those around, so I would love to try and find something like that. Obviously the Rochester winter is probably not the time that's going on, but like spring or something, because I do want to do some more triathlons. I have to. It's just the swim. See, it's funny that you said you love the swimming. I'm okay with it now, but open water scared me at first, especially when 100 ladies get in the water at the same time and they're falling out trying to go. But I need to find some triathlons to do too, and I think I can tackle a marathon. It's a little. I think I've done my last one of that. I did Marine Corps right before the year before I moved to Rochester, and it was a little rough. So I think I'm too old for the constant pounding for 26 miles. But I definitely like the races too that you can drive, that aren't necessarily Rochester, but you can drive to them. So something again, or maybe something in Ohio. Isn't there a big race in Ohio that people? Is it Towpath? Is that one?
Yes, that one's coming up. Yep.
Is that a half?
I think it's everything. I think they have everything. Like 5K, 10K, half, and full.
Okay. Yeah, I might look into that as well. And then I think, Chris, the Martha's Vineyard one, that's next spring. I was really bummed that I didn't get to go to Zion with all of you. That was really fun.
Yeah, Zion was something. It was really special. Yeah, so that's our group for people who aren't in our particular group. We thanks to the lovely and amazing Chris Lambert, who organizes these trips like it's nobody's business, like it is her business, and it's not even. She's we went, 29 of us went to Zion, Utah, which was no small feat, and it came out beautifully. I mean, it was just a terrific trip. And then she just announced our trip for next year. Our destination race is going to be Martha's Vineyard, which is an easy travel for us because we're on the East Coast. So super excited about that next May. And we'll keep everybody updated as we go along on the adventures of Martha's Vineyard.
And that's what's great about being in the Northeast now. These destination things that are allowing me to see different areas of. I've never, other than New York City, I've never been in the Northeast at all. Never been to Cape Cod or Martha's Vineyard or Boston or all of those. And so I like the fact that everyone does that. So you can travel and do some bonding and
get some exercise. Yeah,
I mean, you can stay a couple extra days, do stuff, or you can go back. But there's lots of that are drivable from here too. So
which is nice. So so if somebody's listening, like your friends from Atlanta are listening to this, and you've talked to them about starting a group or seeking out other people to start a group, what would you say to them that what words of wisdom would you give to them to start a group or seek one out?
Okay, so I think I was lucky because it fell in my lap. So I don't know, and but once I told all my friends in Atlanta about it, that my friends that I've done my races with, they started looking things up similar, and they couldn't find anything. So it's kind of interesting because I would say look for maybe even those team and training, like leukemia, lymphoma training things.
Right.
Raise for those, and it's not they do some social things, but I think you have to be resourceful. Again, I think I got lucky, but if you have any inkling of something that you want to go do, you like we've always, like the theme of the interview kind of is like being uncomfortable but putting yourself out there.
Right.
Really want something, or you want to belong, or you want some training, or whatever it is that you want, you have to try and reach out and be resourceful, and don't get upset or don't feel down if something doesn't work out. But ask your friends, because you just don't know what's out there until
right. And you can create your own. I mean, you created, even though we existed, you created you were a big part of creating your experience in the group. And so, for your friends that, maybe are looking for something like this, Moms in Motion could be a thing for them to do. Again, or just, again, I think the big thing is too, is that as women, we need tribes. We tend to be more group oriented. And like you said, to help for not just the fitness part of it and the motivation, but for all the other things that go along with being a mom and
what you're going through, whatever it is in life. You feel like there's always something you can understand. My best friend just moved years ago. She moved from one suburb of Portland, Oregon to another suburb. And it was really tough for her. And I was in Atlanta at the time, and she would call me and she got really down. But I said, have you gone? I go, I'm on the internet. I see there's a YMCA down the street from you. Did you go to the Y? Are you volunteering at the school? And she's like, I've already looked into that, but I haven't looked into the Y. I don't, and she was just so down that she wasn't able to see the light at the end of the tunnel type of thing.
Right.
It's hard to do sometimes, but because I'm looking at it from the aspect of moving to a new town, you have to look for things, especially since I don't have a full-time job, and that working sometimes brings you your community and a lot of social that comes with that. And since I didn't have that, I had to look out. I mean, I joined a tennis group so I can play tennis. I mean, and again, and I love a lot of the ladies that I play with, but I would have never known it if I didn't take the initiative, because no one's going to come running to you when you're, you know what I mean? Like, that's not to say that's bad, but I mean, people have lives, they have stuff going on. So you'd be surprised if you take the initiative, what can come out of it. Because maybe someone wants to do the same thing, but they are, and so, you have to make yourself uncomfortable sometimes.
Right. For all the right reasons, we all have our cross to bear. And again, finding, what is that quote? Like, when you find your tribe, your fellow weirdos, embrace them as your tribe.
Yes.
So our fellow, we are
weirdos.
Yes, we are. Yep, exactly. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you that you'd like to share?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we covered everything. I can't say enough about the group and how thankful I am that Jeannie recommended it to me. And I hope that there are other groups out there in every state, even if not Moms in Motion, something like it that people can take advantage of, because it really does add value. For me, it adds a lot of value to my life, and it's important that I stay with it. So.
Right. And does it, I'm like you said, it helped your husband, or you finding people probably took pressure off your husband, in terms of, like, I'm sure that there's some kind of, I don't know if guilt is the right word, but like, being the reason that he, his job was the reason that you moved, that there can be some pressure for things to go well. And, so
and he's very supportive of it. I'll be, okay, I'm going to be gone on this Saturday, or I'm going to go to a party tonight, or I'm going to go to a club. Like, go ahead. He wants me to, he's just like, he said, you've made friends faster here than anywhere we've moved. And I said, well, a lot of afternoons, and going, and, there was one day though, right around like Christmas, and I said, I can't do one more thing. I have to stay home tonight, because out trying to I got to go to this cookie exchange. I've got to go to this toy drive. I've got to go to this. And then I just hit the wall. I'm like, oh my gosh. But I'm so thankful that it was all there, because I like to stay busy. And so,
Right.
yeah, it's been great.
Well, we certainly are blessed to have you as part of our group. Like I said, you, even though I remember when you joined late last year, at the end of 2016, the fact that you seem like you've been a member forever speaks to how great you are and how much you, and I don't say this in a cliquey way, but like that, just that you fit right in to the open arms, open heart spirit of the group. So we are very blessed to have you. And I will promise you right here, right now, I'll do the polar plunge with you next year.
Oh yeah, do that, Bonnie.
Yes, it's out.
It's recorded.
It is out in the ethernet. I will do the polar plunge. I'll just get booties for my feet.
Okay, that will work.
Those wetsuit booties. I'll get some of those so that I can.
That's what I wore. You'll still, the neoprene, you'll still feel it, but
yeah,
you can tough it out. We'll have Fireball ready to go.
That's, yeah, the Fireball and booties, and I'm in. Well, thanks again so much for being a part of this podcast. We love having you as part of the group. I love you, girl, and thank you for everything that you bring to us.
Oh, I love you too, Bonnie. Thank you so much.
Yep, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
All right, bye-bye.